we're having to do a little driving here in the city. Originally, the plan was to do the test drive out on a windy road in the country, but logistically speaking, we had some problems with that. So I'm having to just sort of describe the driving experience here in town. Basically, the owner of the car came to Carobu, and he had an engine built for him by another shop, and he wasn't happy with the performance. So he came to Bert Ware is the engine builder at Carobu, and the owner asked Bert if he could build an engine that put out about 400 horsepower, and so they did, and this is what they ended up with. So, the engine itself is amazing. It's got the stock Mercedes crankshaft, which is a pretty strong item already to begin with. So, but to that they bolted on a set of custom Carobu rods that are lighter and stronger than the original Mercedes rods. The pistons are basically custom forged pistons that are slightly larger displacement, but just a little bit bigger, so really there's no displacement added. But the compression ratio is higher at 10.5 to 1. The intake manifold has been modified extensively to basically get better flow. That was when they were studying the flow of the engine on a flow bench. They realized that airflow was the major restriction for making power out of the engine. So they made a custom manifold for it. You can programmable fuel injection, mega squirt basically. I'm not sure what the exhaust is on it, but it's definitely pretty free flowing and loud. It sounds great. The engine's just terrific sounding. It's funny, you see this car and it's pretty menacing looking, but it's got the sophistication to it, and then you hear it and it's like, whoa, that's almost like the sound doesn't quite compute with what the car looks like. This is really sophisticated looking Mercedes, SL, definitely it's got good power. 383 horsepower and about 423 foot-pounds of torque, and it definitely gets up and goes. The only thing that really gets in the way of its sheer, kind of driving enjoyment is the fact that it has an automatic with pretty tall gearing, so it definitely makes it kind of hard to get on it. If you leave it in drive, the transmission shifts up too quickly, and if you leave it in the manual mode, it's an automatic. There's no way around that. This car drives, it's like a cruiser basically. It's like a muscle car, I guess is how I would describe it. A car that you kind of point and shoot. I don't think that it's very nimble around corners in the way that you can chuck it around basically. The interior has been completely customized. It has these Recaro seats from the 80s, so it's got period correct Recaros in it that have been redone in perforated leather and with white stitching. Alcantara centers, the Alcantara dash. There's this beautiful Nardi wood steering wheel, and then there's redwood trim in the center console, and a few other places on the door and whatnot that matches perfectly. So the interior has had a lot of work done to it. So every bit of it's been customized. It has a carbon fiber custom hardtop, which is amazing. I've never seen anything like that on an SL. Gauges are custom. They're all classic instruments, and so those are not the stock gauges. Those have been changed. So pretty much everything on this car has been modified. The wheels and tires are obviously different. There's a nice huge set of AMG three-piece alloys that they're actually OZ wheels, but they have the AMG kind of monoblock design in a three-piece setup, which are absolutely beautiful looking, and it's the right wheel for the car. The bodywork was massaged a little bit in the back to make way for because the rears they look like they're about 10 or 11 inches. The brakes have been upgraded as well, so it has Brembo brakes, which now technically it's not an aftermarket big brake kit. What it is they're Brembos from a later Mercedes, so they're larger than the original, but they're larger calipers than this car originally came with, and they're Brembos. They're just not aftermarket Brembos. They're OE Mercedes Brembo. This has been a fantastic car. It's so cool. They really did a great job on the build, and the owner, I'm sure, is going to be extremely happy with it. Like most projects, this thing's probably never really going to be done. I'm sure it'll have other things that are going to be done to it over time. I think the owner actually is planning on doing some more modifications to it. I'm not sure exactly what, maybe some visual modifications, whatnot. But you can read in detail on the website. I'll have a much more extensive write-up